What's going on, weebs? I'm ToastSniper98, nice to meet you. How's your Gouda grinding experience going so far? Mine's going fan-fucking-tastic! So after the relative success and the fact that everyone liked the quantity of spicy memes in the last video, I decided to go ahead and capitalize on that success to begin a little series here of FGONA how-to videos in order to expand more on my opinions and strategies for the 5-star servants discussed in the aforementioned video. The only problem was that no one really suggested anyone for me to start with, so yeah, I kinda had to pick one on my own. Yeah. So I just decided to do what any male weeaboo like me would do and think with my pants. So here's a guide on Bushy Tail. Enjoy!
ご主人様はあの女のことで頭がいっぱいなんでしょうから
Before we get on with the actual guide portion of this video, I'd just like to take a few quick seconds here to teach you all the correct pronunciation of Bushy Tail's name because fucking English teaches you weebs incorrect syllable accentuation. So, if you have any of your weeb friends, or you yourselves for that matter, who pronounces her name like the following, please take this time out to tag them at this point of the video.
I don't like where this is going.
How could you do this to me, Tamamo?
Stop!
Is that you didn't say her full name? It's Tamamo, no mine, not Tamamo.
You know what?
It could be Tamamo cat. What if you got a cat?
Stop!
Happy Halloween, everyone. Soberoni of G&A Reviews here with a servant spotlight for the fluffy fox herself, Tamamo.
So here's how you say it. Repeat after me, class. Tamamo no mae. As in, ta, mamo, no, ma, lama. Okay, on to the actual guide part. Tamamo has a AAA deck, meaning that she's got 3 arts cards and 1 quick and buster card each. She has 14,295 HP at level 90, along with 10,546 attack. If you fully grail her to 100 like I intend to, she can reach 15,621 HP and 11,544 attack. Her star absorption is 49, her star gen is 11%, her NP charge on attack is 0.32%, her NP charge on defense is 3%, her death rate is 36%, and she's neutral evil, and obviously she's a waifu. Alright, so here's what the numbers mean. She can spam arts cards like nobody's business. She's got high health and low attack. She's not likely to be pulling crit stars for herself because she's a caster, and casters in general have pretty bad star pull weights, but she actually can, emphasis on can, generate quite a few crit stars thanks to the high hit counts on the cards in her deck. But since she's only got 1 quick card, overall she's still not very good at it. Her MP charge gain is shit, at least if you compare it to someone like Waivers. She's pretty vulnerable to insta-kill effects, and she's a lovable evil waifu. What's not to love about her? So Tamamo is, in every sense of her design in FGO, a support caster, as if you couldn't have just figured that shit out on your own just from looking at her attack rating alone. And besides, if you're not a support caster in this current meta FGO, you're either backstabbing doll bitch or wannabe caster idol, and Tamamo isn't either of those, so your options for caster roles are pretty limited already just from that. But how exactly is Fluffy Tail a support caster? What makes her different from, say, someone like Spineless Whiny Bitch? Well, as you all probably know by now, a servant's skills are a core part of their gameplay in Fate Grand Order, so naturally we'll have to take a look at those first to understand what really makes Fluffy Tail so unique and desirable, other than being best Fate extra girl. Fortunately, Casco's got some handy skills in her toolset. Her first skill is Witchcraft EX, which allows her to drain a target enemy's NP charge by 1. At first glance, this might not seem like much of a big deal, but you need to consider the fact that you're most likely using Tamamo in an arts team, and arts teams need time to set up their NPs, and overall can't put out consistent damage to take out enemies before they can fully charge their own NPs because of the fact that you're constantly trying to spam your arts cards, and arts cards are not really known for their damage, you know? So this means that a few bits of stalling are inevitable to make sure that your team can prepare for enemy NPs that are coming their way. Also take a look at the success rates for Witchcraft. It scales from 80% to 100% depending on level, the same as Vlad's Bloodsucker's skill, meaning that at level 10, this skill is guaranteed to drain an enemy of an MP charge. In a game where mechanics are heavily reliant on RNG and the like, as we all know from pulling the gacha by now, turning a skill that would normally be based on a chance for success, albeit an already good one, even at level 1, into a guaranteed chance is a very nice safety net to have, especially considering the fact that by using this skill, you're making sure that your team isn't about to die to an enemy MP the next turn. Admittedly, Witchcraft isn't as strong of a skill that it could be, given that Vlad's Bloodsucker skill is basically the same thing, except it also gives Vlad MP charge. But on its own, it's still a solid skill that can come in clutch when you really can't afford to have your own team get wrecked this turn. Her second skill is Shapeshift A, which increases her personal defense by a flat 30% for 1 turn, and then adds another additional layer of defense to her for 3 turns. Notice the 2 shields down here at the bottom that show up together when you activate this skill. That means that she stacks her defense buffs together, and because leveling Shapeshift increases the effectiveness of the 3-turn defense buff from 10% to 30%, if you have it at level 10, you're basically sitting at a 60% defense buff the turn you pop Shapeshift. Combine this with Waver's defense buff too, and this is almost the same as giving Tamamo an evade skill instead. Not quite, but it's pretty damn close. And her third skill is Fox's Wedding. Oh, note to you viewers who have Foxy Waifu, level this first. It increases the arts card effectiveness of any servant on the field by 30 to 50% depending on level. These are the same numbers as the Mana Burst skill that the Artorias have, but unlike Mana Burst, Fox's Wedding is, you guessed it, targetable. So it's like giving anyone you want, including Foxy Waifu herself, the arts version of Mana Burst. I guess the only reason why DW thought this wasn't stupidly broken was because arts cards aren't thought of to do a lot of damage. Well... yeah, I guess that wasn't enough damage. Tamamo's interlude that comes with London, or at least it should, also buffs Fox's Wedding, which is really strange given that it's already probably one of the strongest skills in the game anyway, even without the buff. Oh, and what's with the whole ranking thing? Normally, if a skill or even a noble phantasm gets a buff via interlude or strengthening quest, they get promoted a rank. But Fox's Wedding is already EX rank, so what's above that?
The prophecy is true.
Skill ranking aside, post-London Interlude, Fox's Wedding gets a heal effect, and with it, Tamamo can also heal anyone on her team, including herself, for up to 2500 health, along with the arts buff. Like I said earlier, level this skill first. And finally, let's talk about her NP. Her NP is Suiten Nikko Amaterasu Yano Shizuishi, which translates roughly to unnecessarily and stereotypically long and cool sounding Japanese name in English. It's an arts NP that does no damage, but provides a plethora of support mechanics to your team instead. Its major effect is that it reduces the skill cooldown of everyone on the field by 1, which, in this current state of NAFGO, is a mechanic that is entirely unique to her. There will be servants in the future who have NPs or skills that also have a CDR reduction mechanic as well, but for now, she's the only one who possesses it. It also provides a small heal to the entire team, 1000 before Tammy's first interlude and 2000 after it. I call it small because if you level Fox's Wedding to at least 8, the heal effect on it is already bigger than the heal that her MP provides. Still, you shouldn't overlook it because the heals do add up over time, especially because, as you already should know, Tammy can very easily spam her MP over and over again, or at least she should be able to if you're doing it right. It also charges everyone's NP gauges from 25 to 50% depending on overcharge level. This means that if you're in a position to use multiple noble phantasms at once, always put Mei Mei's NP at the end. By doing this, you're basically depleting everyone else's NPs first down to 0, so that by the time Mei Mei can use her NP can recharge everyone's gauges back up again by at least 37.5%. Between this and her arts cards, this effectively means that you can spam your team's NPs a lot faster than you should probably be allowed to.
Morning. Morning. What you got then?
Well, there's egg and bacon, egg, sausage and bacon, egg and spam, egg, bacon and spam, egg, bacon, sausage and spam, spam, bacon, sausage and spam, spam, egg, spam, spam, bacon and spam, 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 egg and spam, 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 baked beans, spam, spam, spam and spam. Oh, lobster thermidor crevettes with Mornay sauce, garnished with truffle pate brandy and a fried egg on top and spam. Have you got anything with much spam in it.
I don't want any spam. Why can't you have egg, bacon, spam and sausage?
That's got spam in it.
Not as much as spam, egg, sausage and spam.
Look, could I have egg, bacon, spam and sausage without the spam? Ugh. What do you mean? I don't like spam.
Alright, so here's the general strategy for Tamamo. Put her in an arts team. The main reason for this is because of her third skill, and unfortunately she's kind of really polarizing in that aspect. If you don't have her in an arts team, she loses a huge chunk of her utility right off the bat. Her other two skills aren't really support skills in a general sense, like charisma or tactics, so put these together and you'll find that Tamamo really sticks out like a sore thumb if she doesn't have anyone else to really work with. And her NP doesn't cast an invul like Jian's does, so by itself, the skill cooldown reduction, while it is nifty and can help, isn't going to make much of an impact, generally speaking, if you don't have her in a team that can stall out the enemies long enough to let their skills recharge all the way and take advantage of that cooldown reduction. So in this sense, Tamamo is definitely not a general purpose support caster like Waifu is. She's a more niche support caster. Her niche being, as I've probably said at least 4 times in this video so far, an arts support caster. But when you do put her in an arts team, suddenly she becomes one of the best support servants in the game. At Media also puts her at a very high S rank in terms of all the 5-star servants, even in the JP version. And once you do put Yandere Fox Waifu into a proper arts team, the general strategy with her then goes something like this. Get her MP up as fast as possible, time your team's skills so that they'll benefit the most from the CDR, rinse and repeat. By themselves, each individual effect of Tamamo's NP isn't much, but together, they can really add up over time, as I've mentioned before. And as if I didn't make this point clear enough by now, you really need to put Tammy into a team where she feels most comfortable using her skills. There are a lot of servants who have skills that let them be self-sustaining, or skills that they can just use basically whenever. Well, Tamamo is not one of them. In fact, she's the exact opposite. All of her skills require you to really think about when the best times are to use them. Obviously, some of those times it'll be a lot easier to decide when to use them, but that's not always going to be the case. Just keep that in mind. Because if you don't put her into a team where her skills can work with your other servants, then you're more or less reducing her to a useless goddess who can't do much damage unless you're fighting against assassins, and whose skills aren't really gonna amount to anything useful throughout the course of a fight. I mean, sure, her first 2 skills might, but they're not her strongest skills now, are they? And Fluffytail really doesn't like it when you make her mad, cause she'll get you. Let's talk about our selection of craft essences next. So, naturally, being an arts-based support caster, Fomalcraft and its lower rarity variants like Projection Magecraft and Azure Black Keys, God forbid, are her safe options. You really can't go wrong with this since 60% of her command deck is all arts cards. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to affect the effectiveness of her NP, which is a shame because if she could at least increase her healing amount with, Fomalcraft or any of the other arts boosting cards, that alone would make her NP a lot stronger. The next few craft essence suggestions focus on fixing one of Tamacaster's main weaknesses, her terrible charge gain. Since everyone probably has a Divine Banquet, you can actually put it to good use by giving it to Tamamo, though I'm not really too sure how she'd feel about you giving her unwanted goods. If you have Lewd Ilia, this opens up the option for Tamamo to be able to get her MP faster because it both increases her MP gain by 20% and starts her off at 50% MP charge, meaning that if Waifu's on the same team, he can give her a turn 1 MP, which you could then use to charge everyone else's MPs by 25%. Quite a few people have said that Prisma Cosmos is also a great CE to have on Bushytail, and after some thought about it, I think that I have to agree. The fact that it auto-charges her NP every turn basically makes up for her bad charge gain, and since the effect procs every turn automatically on its own, Tamamo's basically gaining charge even when she doesn't do anything. And in an ideal situation, Tamamo should be always charging her MP gauge whenever she can anyway. So this can really give you some freedom to use other command cards in a turn without necessarily having to pick Bushytails every single time. And if you get some bad RNG and the next deck of cards doesn't give you any of Bushytails cards at all, guess what? Prismacosmos is there to charge it for her. 2030 is, needless to say, a good choice for Tamamo to have. If you remember the previous video, Tamamo benefits from the health boost from 2030 greatly since it makes her even more of a tank caster, and she can provide an extra layer of support to her team by generating 10 crit stars for her team every single turn, assuming you have it limit broken, which a lot of you probably will. But in case you don't have EX luck in the gacha, Be Elegant is the plebeian, sort of, replacement on Tamamo because her cards do have a high hit count on them. Her arts cards all have 5 hits, her quick card has 3 hits, and her extra attack has 4. So if you were to start off an attack with a quick card, followed by 2 of Tammy's arts cards, she can produce a number of crit stars. But no, seriously, you should just probably try to pull 2030 instead. Speaking of CEs that make her a tankier caster, also consider either Maiden Halloween or Moonbath, since they both not only increase her overall health, but also give her health back. Maiden Halloween increases her personal healing received by 60%, and remember that she can use Fox's Wedding on herself, hint hint! And Moonbath automatically regens 500 health a turn. So, in summary, Costco is a monster of an art support caster. She brings all the boys to the yard like the parking lots on Sunday with her huge mana tanks.
さあ、お話の続きを。それとも私の魔力タンクが気になります？
And makes everyone whip out their MPs like it's Black Friday weekend. But outside of it, she's just your average Ralphs. She's not bad outside of her element. It's just that you should really go to Costco for those thick and juicy deals. By the way, I'm totally not chilling for Costco right now. Actually, there are Costcos in Japan, so I wonder what she'd look like in a Costco uniform. And finally, make sure you concentrate on having Fluffy Tail throw her mirror around like at a college ultimate game. Manage her skills well, and help her babysit your arts DPS guy, or gal, whoever you want to bring along. Oh, and your accounts too. And that's all you really need to know about Mei Mei. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I'm currently working on the script for a video that will cover all the 4-star servants in the game in its current state. I was going to make it my next video, but then I realized after, starting the script for it, just how much effort I'd have to put into making it, so I figured that by making this video first, it would be a more efficient use of my time. I may complete more of these individual how-to videos during the time that it takes for me to get the 4-star servants video out, just FYI. And if you'd like to actually participate in a proper poll, please check the description of this video to pick out which of the 5 stars you want me to cover next. Again, thanks for watching, and if you'll excuse me, I'll be going right back to farming. I'll see you all in the next video. I'm out.